We're honoring Mel Showers' 50 years at News 5. Tonight, we're looking at how Mel was one of the first African Americans at this station and in the TV market. Here's News 5's Peter Albrecht.
When Mel went on the air as a reporter at WKRG in 1974, there were very few black faces on local television, and some people wanted to keep it that way. But Mel didn't let that affect him as he rose through the ranks, inspiring a lot of people along the way. As a boy growing up in Mobile, Mel Showers enjoyed watching the news.
I used to watch Huntley and Brinkley, Walter Cronkite. I thought a lot of them, and I used to say to myself, I said, wonder if I could ever do that one day. But I couldn't look at it realistically because I didn't see any dark-skinned people on the air doing that.
In fact, Mel says there was just one black local on-air role model.
The only on-air black person leading up to when I started as a booth announcer was Estelle Payton.
Payton served as sidekick to Connie B. Hope during cooking segments on the midday news.
And I used to think so much of her because she was my complexion and she was on TV. Up until then, you know, you didn't see any black person in this local area on TV, and there she was.
This monument near downtown symbolizes Mobile's relative unity during the Civil Rights era. Mobile avoided much of the racial conflict that divided other southern cities, and Mel Showers says it was the same social strategy that led to his being hired by WKRG in 1969.
WKRG became proactive. They said, we're not going to have any picketing outside our station, what have you. We're going to go out and find us somebody black.
Mel was hired among qualified African-American students at South Alabama as a booth announcer and became a news field reporter a few years later, joining a few other African-American reporters on air at the time, like the late Bob Brazier.
But most blacks feels it runs deeper than that.
Early on, Mel did stories on racial inequality in Mobile's police and fire departments.
There is some question locally as to who's responsible for making affirmative action work.
And sadly covered his fair share of cross burnings.
And many blacks in Pensacola have warned of retaliation.
At that time, burning crosses was pretty common. And they were burning crosses all over the place, all over the TV5 viewing area.
Mel says his early reporting days had some challenges, but were generally positive.
I don't know if you would call it difficult because you had so many people pulling for you. You had so much support from the black community especially.
And former co-workers say it was Mel's personality and demeanor that won over many people who may not have been ready to see black reporters on television.
There was additional pressure, let's face it, on something like that, and he handled it with such class. I noted that.
Current African-American leaders in the city say Mel had a huge influence on them.
He has been a role model to me because I saw an African-American on the news bringing the news to the citizens of Mobile.
Particularly as an African-American male, seeing him in that prominent role, he's touched the lives of thousands of young men who saw him and said to themselves that they could aspire to that level of professionalism because Mel Showers, somebody from our own community, was able to do it.
Mel became the Mobile-Pensacola TV market's first black evening news anchor in 1990. It was a big moment in the African-American community.
I didn't believe I could see no African-American as an anchor. It moved Mel up to the anchor. I thought the earth moved. And then he just became a standard of faith for us to see during the news. Just an outstanding man.
And you can learn much more about Mel's amazing 50-year television career on our website, WKRG.com. And Mel, those comments, you've inspired a lot of people, not just people getting into journalism or into broadcasting, but so many people, as the council members said there.
Well, I tell you what, I've heard so many kind remarks over the past month, and I have a few days left on the air, and people will be taking over for me. But I thank you, Pete, and I learn something new every time you do one of those reports because it's been so long ago.
You're reminded of stories you had forgotten about.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you again, Pete.
Congratulations.